My manager's got a call from the casting director, Harry Brown, asking if I wanted to come down for an audition, so I did. I guess that must have gone well because they called me back. We done a second audition. It was a kind of group workshop, about 25 of us kids in a studio, and we just asked to kind of improvise, and so we did. And yeah, Daniel gave me the part from that. I think the fact that it was a Michael Caine film. Michael Caine's like just one of my heroes. Do you know what I mean? He's a legend. You know what I mean? So any chance to be involved in a film with him kind of swung it for me. But I think the role, obviously, if I felt like I couldn't do the role, then I would have had second thoughts about taking it. But it was, I guess, like, you know, my first role in adulthood. It was kind of about a street kid. Do you know what I mean? About a disaffected youth, which I guess at one point I may have been one of them. Do you know what I mean? So it was quite easy for me to kind of draw on certain experiences I'd had in the past and bring it to this character. I play the character of Noel, who is the son of a kind of respected gangster. And I guess he's kind of living off his dad's kind of fame. And he's trying to kind of run stuff on his little estate, kind of drugs trade and the kind of criminal underworld. He's the gang of his little estate crew. And I think in the film it just gets a bit out of hand. He gets a little bit too, power hungry, and ends up making a very big mistake, which kind of brings his world and Michael Caine's world into the same realm. There's one scene we done in the interrogation room which was scripted. But I said to Daniel at the start, I said in order to make this character real, I'm gonna have to interpret certain parts of the script how I see fit. And we was given the freedom to do that. And one of the scenes we just started improvising. We'd done all our lines and the director hadn't called cut, so we just carried on. And so all this like fresh dialogue started coming out of my mouth, you know. And it's some pretty nasty stuff that was coming out of my mouth. And to be honest, I drew it from a bunch of kids that I know that kind of talk like that in jest. They kind of say these nasty things, but it's all light-hearted, it's joking, but it's filthy language. And what I realised is when you take that language and you take away the humour from it, it just becomes quite scary, quite disgusting. And that's what I kind of drew on for this character. You know, it was taking a lot of kind of the dialogue that people use in everyday life, but just making it nasty, you know, and taking away that kind of comic element from it. I always enjoyed drama at school, and I always enjoyed the improv side of things. Just, you know, saying first thing that comes into your head and then just going with it. And so I don't know if that comes from the music, because I guess, you know, at school when I was doing drama, that was before I started doing the music. But I guess maybe they're connected, you know, maybe they are connected, but I just haven't discovered why yet, you know what I mean? I haven't kind of understood it. I was a bit scared that I was going to say something stupid just out of pure, you know, nerves. So I just kept my mouth shut and just listened, watched and listened. And but he's a pretty cool cat, and he kind of makes everyone feel pretty comfortable on stage, and he's always cracking jokes and stuff. So I kind of eased up a bit around him. I managed to really enjoy the experience. I think because he talks to the younger generation because he's working class, and he might be working class from a different period, from a different time. But when these kids watch the film, they're not watching some posh middle class guy. They're watching a guy who came from, you know, came from the street, I guess. Do you know what I mean? And made something of his life. And not only that, he's believable in his roles. Films need to be entertaining as well. Maybe if it was an accurate portrayal, it would take a lot longer to get from start to finish. It wouldn't all happen in the space of a week. It would probably happen over the space of a month. And these are the kind of liberties you take with films, artistic licensing. And I guess because I've never been in a situation like it, I couldn't sit here with my hand on my heart and say, you know, it's an accurate, you know, representation of something that happens on the street every day. I don't think this is something that happens in the street every day, but I think that it does happen. And I think that in order to tell the kind of story of the film, you know, it needs to be slightly exaggerated. I just hope that the audience walk away feeling entertained, really. To be honest, I mean, this is the thing. I think a lot of people ask, you know, why were certain films made? What was the point? What was the message? And I just think, you know, aren't we just going to watch films to be entertained? And it's kind of a thriller, you know, it's a fast-paced movie. You know, it's got a beginning, a middle, and an end. You know, and there's, you know, I guess it's kind of an action film as well, a little bit. There's a lot of kind of, you know, fight scenes and whatnot, kind of people firing guns at each other and that, you know. So I think it's like, you should kind of come to see it as a kind of action film thriller, but with that element of realism.